something for the community to being a shop? And secondly, do you think there's a chance that we might be able to buy back the shop? The community might be able to buy back the shop.
I don't think we could afford it. I think it's worth a lot of money. But it, you know, we were told that the Queensland Council was approached before the bid was made to buy the airport, that the airport, you know, would obviously have some extensive work undertaken, but the facilities that were going to be provided out there would be directly connected to the aviation industry. And what we've seen, of course, is anything but that. I mean, there's commercial activity, there's certainly a lot of office space, and I'm sure that it won't be too long before we'll see hotels and residential accommodation out there as well.
You're building a brickworks on the one in Perth, right next to a residential area.
All right. Thanks for Shane. Your question is next.
If I can ask Tom, in the draft master plan, the various projections that you've made and the increase in aircraft movements that you're forecasting, what assumptions have you made on constraints on aircraft movement resulting from the next phase of the Kyoto Protocol and various other efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions?
Yeah. The question of, I mean, in essence, what your question is, what do I think the impact of Kyoto or carbon trading and carbon pricing will have on aviation growth? It's a question that a lot of people are grappling with around the whole industry. What people are, the current view of a lot of experts, and I've heard it from a number of different types of analyses from the airlines, from academia, is that the cost of carbon will increase the cost of a ticket by about 2 to 4 times the cost of what you're paying now when you register with Qantas or with Virgin for their carbon, for carbon credit, carbon neutrality. So if that's right, and you know, that's what people are saying, and I haven't done the work, but that's what I'm being told. The impact, there will be some impact on demand, but probably not a major impact on demand, because, you know, in essence it's not a lot. The price of the carbon neutrality counter at the moment with Qantas and Virgin are about 90 cents between Canberra and Sydney. So you might be talking about, say, an extra $3, $4, $5. That's the sort of numbers that people are talking between Canberra and Sydney. Between Sydney and Singapore, say, the cost of carbon neutrality at the moment is about $20. So you might be talking about, say, a $100 ticket. That might be extra cost. So I'll leave you to make the inference about that. But you know, probably not a massive change. But you know, that depends on the cost of carbon, and no one knows what the cost of carbon is going to be.
Tom, did you want to ask a question? I've got your next one.
Yeah, I'm happy to ask a question. Frank, my question is for you. I'm hearing a lot of concern in this room, and particularly amongst these residents, and you hear it from time to time amongst other residents, of, you know, concerns about lower levels of aircraft noise. And it appears from some of the discussion and from Jeff's measurements, which aren't consistent with the Commonwealth of Australia's measurements, but nevertheless, there is concern in this room about level of noises below perhaps, say, 60 decibels. You're proposing and you're pushing forward a development at Tralee which would be exposed to well in excess of 70 decibels, which is well over double and probably significantly more the level of noise. How do you feel about subjecting residents to that level of noise, and what do you think about, you know, how does those people react compared to how people in this room feel?
Well, we're not pushing anything at all through. I mean, that's a bit of a furphy. The fact is that...
That's true, Frank.
No,
I don't think that's true at all.
Well, you ask the question and I'll have to give you the answer. If you don't want to hear it, I won't. But the fact is that an application was made for the rezoning of the Tralee land, and as things stand at the moment, development is permitted in that area, subject to a range of conditions. Now, the council has a legal and also a moral obligation to deal with any application it receives. And what the council has done is supported, and I have personally supported it as well, a process to evaluate the proposal, and it's taken, normally a rezoning proposal takes 2 or 3 years. The Tralee application has been with council for over 6, and that indicates that we're going through a very extensive process. There's been some modifications to the original proposal. There's been further information required by the Minister for Planning and his department. Some of it's has arisen because of concerns raised by the airport and other residents, and certainly it's going through a very extensive process, which I don't know when it will come to a finality. Suffice to say that the final proposal that will be considered by the council sometime into the future may be completely different to the one that was originally submitted. And that's the crux of it. I mean, the council at this point in time has not supported the rezoning of that land, and it won't do unless it complies with very strict guidelines and conditions, if it ever approves it at all. So there's a long way to go. But to say that the council has supported the rezoning is an absolute furphy. It hasn't.
Thank you.
I'd like to pick up a point, Tom. You commented that there is a question mark over the noise readings. I'd just like to say, I don't believe there isn't a month of Sundays. First of all, it was a sound level meter obtained from ADFA. The other thing is, the readings, I recorded the readings that I took. I was listening at the time. I made sure that there wasn't a cockatoo screeching or anything else like that I got. I also took other readings, like on a mower. I also took the minimum noise readings. But as well as that, the sound level meter also travelled across to Jerrabomberra, and it was used there close to the official measurer. Now, I was able to then check against the official measurer with the noise readings that are published on the website, and gee, the readings we're taking with the sound level meter are very much the same as they're getting off the tennis court monitor. So I figure, from my point of view, the readings I took with the sound level meter were valid and accurate. It's a pretty simple device to use, and I'm an aviator, so I reckon I get to read gauges fairly well, you know. But I don't reckon I made any mistakes about it whatsoever. And equally, as I said, I took measurements on aircraft taking off to the south, and they're delivering noise that's measurable.
Common, that's
Okay,
not
hang on,
the
go
only
for it, just through
measurement
the,
of
if we can
noise.
come through the
Yes.
chair.
Sorry.
That's all right. So Deb and then Rob.
Oh, I just wanted to add to Shane's question about greenhouse gases. The other thing that's definitely, you know, it's going to be, we're talking about greenhouse gases, we're talking about politics, we're talking about the ways that measures that are made to reduce emissions. But when we talk about the price of oil, we're talking about the market, we're talking about a scarce resource, and definitely an accelerating price. So I didn't get any sense when I read the draft master plan that any thought had been given to the fact that, you know, it's well, that for scarcity, yes, but increasing rise, and we're already seeing the impact of that on airlines. So I'm just wondering if you did make those kinds of projections, and how you think that will affect the number of flights coming in and out of Canberra.
We take a whole lot of things into account when we look at them. I mean, if you have the view that increasing oil prices will significantly decrease movements, then I guess...
I don't know whether they will or not. It could be that, well, we have us planes flying and, you know, no more cars moving, or, and who knows how it's all going to work itself out.
I mean, what you do when you make projections is you make